listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the first show of the year 2016. It is January the 4th. My name is Rob McConnell, and welcome to our worldwide listeners here on the X-Zone Radio Show. We're coming to you live and around the world from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website where you can listen to the X-Zone 724, 365, as well as the live shows at www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is the lady that you hear about in our commercial sets. Linnea Starr is her name. And Linnea has displayed an amazing metaphysical understanding of the universe since early childhood. When Linnea was a little girl, her grandmother remarried. On the day of the wedding, Linnea was upstairs in her grandmother's new home. Several pictures and portraits hung on the walls. A woman appeared and told Linnea that she was the mother in one of the pictures. She further explained that her name was Mary and that she died before Linnea was born. Mary also stated that her spine was healed. Mary wanted everyone to know that she knew she was healed. So let's find out more about this amazing story from the amazing lady herself. Linnea Starr is my guest. Her website is www.linneastarr.com. And Linnea, a very happy New Year to you.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be on your show. Happy New Year to you and yours.
Oh, thank you very much, my dear friend. Linnea, tell us more about this story. You're in your grandmother's new home. You're upstairs, and you're looking at these pictures, and what happened?
Yes, I was in her, like a den study area, and I walked into a bedroom, and there were several pictures, and one of the pictures came to life, and the lady said to me, "I'm Mary Elizabeth. I'm the mother of the children that are here. And I died 7 years before you were born." And she had something wrong with her spine, but she told me she was healed and she was very happy that her children had an earth mother now.
Wow. How old were you when this happened, Linnea? And how did you deal with the fact that a lady in a picture basically came to life?
I was a little curious. And my grandmother walked by while I was speaking, and she asked me to repeat. And when I did, she said that was the wife who had died from the man that she just remarried to. And she made me very comfortable with it.
If my memory serves me correct, your grandmother was also very gifted, wasn't she?
She was, and her mother was. So they kind of recognized what was going on with me.
How many children, Linnea, have you come across over the many years of doing the great work that you're doing that their feelings, their emotions, and their gifts have been suppressed by the parents who really do not believe the ability that they have?
It's more common than you could imagine. And there are children that are very gifted, but by the time they reach the age of reason, it's been kind of programmed out of them because the family doesn't encourage it.
Let me ask you this. As a gifted child yourself, coming from a family who was fortunate enough to understand the gifts that you had, and your grandmother was fortunate enough to understand the gifts that your mom had. How can a mom or dad today recognize these gifts instead of, just saying, all right, they're the invisible friends, or this is just a child's imagination? How can they know that this child is truly gifted?
To be honest with you, I get a lot of parents that ask me that.
Mm-hmm.
And my immediate response is to take that child to a priest, a minister, or a rabbi. And they are able, as clerical people, clerics, they can ascertain if the gift is coming from a good place. And I think they can answer the parents' questions and put their mind at ease as to what the child's experiencing.
Let me ask you this, dear friend. If the gift is not coming from a good place, where is that gift coming from?
Well, I think we can both agree that there are good things out there in the universe,
and there are bad
some things that are not so good.
If a child,
the dark side.
If a child has a gift from the dark side, how do you deal with that child? How do you exercise that negative gift the child has? And if it's negative, we can't call it a gift, can we?
No, it wouldn't be more of a detriment, I think.
Yeah. So what would you do, or what would a parent do? What would a member of the clergy do if they decided that this was a detriment and not a gift?
I think that they would counsel the parents.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would bless the child. And I think that they would surround the home with a house blessing, maybe sage the home, and also have a clergy person come in to do a cleansing to bring in good vibrations.
As
opposed to the ones that are not good.
How powerful is the role of a religious practitioner in today's society when we're talking about going into a home, blessing a child, using sage to clear a home or to bless a home? Do they still
Holy
have
water sometimes?
Do they still have the power given to them by the authority of God?
I believe so. I know that I've had friends that have had house blessings by clergymen, Catholic priests, Greek priests, and especially a house that might be older, that might have a presence, and the family's not happy with it. So they would ask the clergy person to come in and cleanse whatever shouldn't be there and replace it with the new vibration that would be conducive to what the family wants.
How significant is the family's belief when it comes to the clearing of a house or to the exorcism of a child who may be being influenced by detrimental forces?
I would think that the family would have to come together and decide what area of faith that they would embrace, whatever they were taught or whatever they found on their own. And I think that faith is sight unseen. But if you have a strong foundation of faith with your children, I think that could promote a better vibration to attract goodness.
Is there more evil in the world today than there was 20 years ago?
Well, I would just have to say, look at the world news.
But
some of the things that are going on are...
But looking at the world news, could we not say that we're so informed about the world news thanks to the internet and the instantaneous realms of communications that we all have accessible to us, that maybe 20 years ago the evil was still there, but we were just unaware of it?
I think that's probably a very good perception because a lot of things we didn't know, we have instantaneous knowledge of now.
As a person like yourself who has the ability to see into the days and the weeks, the months and the years to come, how does 2016 look to you?
I thought long and hard about that. And I really feel that we're facing a spiritual awakening in everybody's life, not just America, not just Canada, but the worldwide. And I think we're going to have to come to a better understanding to promote peace, or we're in trouble.
Could we also be looking at a spiritual war between good and evil?
I think that's a very good perception. And I think, too, that we can embrace everybody's differences and learn from them. There isn't just one perception of a supreme being.
Right.
We could be open to everybody's foundation of faith and learn from each other.
After looking into the year to come, where do you think the most dangerous or the most evil places would be? The places where people need to send their prayers and their good vibrations?
I'm going to say where, and I don't want to frighten anybody, but I think ISIS needs to be receiving goodwill from all of us. There is no reason to execute and terrorize people because they don't believe in a certain faith.
Right.
And I would hope that the spiritual leaders, Muslims, Christians, Jews, would all have a part in this because it's not going in a very good direction.
No, it certainly isn't. And as I've said before, Linnea, that I know several Muslim families. My neighbor at home is a wonderful man that I call a friend. I've watched his family grow. You know, there's two little ones over there that I watched, you know, since they were born, and better people you could not find. And yet, because of what is happening, they wear the stigma of terrorism, which is all wrong. Right. So how do we as a society get rid of that prejudicial outlook that we have when it comes to not the people who are actually involved with ISIS, but those who wear the hat because of the religious affiliation?
I think that we just have to have an open dialogue. I have many people from that beautiful religion, and we've discussed the same thing. And, you know, they're welcome to come here and have a beautiful life and to prosper and to be successful. And it's just that the ones that are the militant ones seem to be hell-bent on destroying everybody.
You know, the news today, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox, or whatever the media outlet, they thrive on negativity. You know, the adage in today's news media is if it don't bleed, it don't lead. I believe it's time that we change that. I believe that by reporting the negative things in life, that we are just stoking the fires. What are your opinions on that?
I think you're right, and I wish and I hope that the movie makers and the TV people and the news media would focus on more happy events, more spiritual, fulfilling events.
Do you think it's too late for us to...
I think that would...
I'm sorry, sweetie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you think it's too late for us to turn things around?
No, I don't. I think if you have a vibration of positiveness and a foundation of belief in a supreme being, I think we could work together to turn this around.
What part of this quagmire that we are in your opinion, is due to the lack of understanding that we have of each other, each other's philosophies, each other's beliefs, each other's religions, each other's holidays, you know, just in general? Is it a matter that
I think that the world has been on a spiral pathway that really shouldn't be where it is. We really need to initiate more of a spiritual connection, whatever we believe in. I think it's fallen by the wayside in a lot of ethnicities.
Do you think that this falling by the wayside is part of the greater plan, or do you think that this is something that was invoked by negative entities?
I'm going to say that I think the negative energy might have had a big part in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we need to really look what we're teaching our kids, the younger generation. What are we implying to them? We need to give them more spiritual values.
But how do we give our children more spiritual values when we're a society hell bent on, if it's not faster, it's not better. If it's not expensive, it's not worth it. You know, if you don't send your kid to school with a pair of $150 running shoes, then your child is going to be deprived of what he considers to be the necessities of life. And we have all this electronic bullying going on. Has technology surpassed our greatest need and desire? And is this a result, the fallout of the growth of technology?
Well, I'm going to say I think that has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that years ago you had a Sunday dinner on
Yes.
Family Day on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody that does that anymore.
It's funny.
I think we've got to go back to some old traditions.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You know, get rid of the iPods, get rid of the iPads, get rid of whatever electronic gadget you have at home. Leave it at the front door. When you come home, talk, communicate, sit down, enjoy each other. You know, Linnea, you go to a restaurant, and people who 5, 6, 7 years ago who would be talking to each other, they're sitting in silence, texting, or using their electronic devices. I see this as a downfall of society.
They're ignoring each other.
Yeah, big time.
For technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll be able
Too bad.
Do you think we'll be able to catch up with technology?
Well, I think if each and every person starts to work on it,
Mm-hmm.
I think there'd be better results in the outcome if we all work together. Wherever we live, America, Canada, Europe.
Linnea, with the people that you have the opportunity of talking to throughout your travels, are you seeing a change in the way people are asking you questions? Years ago it was, am I going to find Mr. Right? Am I going to get that good job? Am I going to, come into money? Are the questions the same, or are you seeing a change into the questions that are being asked of you? Are they getting deeper? Are they getting more sophisticated, or are they just the same old, same olds?
I'm going to say that I think the younger groups, the 20-somethings,
Mm-hmm.
might be focused on finding a life mate, a great job opportunity. Midlife people and up, I think, want to reach the loved ones that have passed. And if you do give somebody a prophecy that comes true,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of opens up their vibration to the fact that the soul is truly eternal, because that's where I'm getting the information from for them.
Linnea, you and I have to take a short break. When we come back, let's talk about what you see for the year of 2016 in a little bit more detail. Exonation Linnea Starr is my special guest. It's always great having you on the show, Linnea. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
Exonation Linnea's website is www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. And we'll both be back as we continue on the other side of the short break. Here in the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Eastern, here on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our family of broadcast affiliates and satellite delivery operators around the world. From our family to yours, from my wife Laura and our 6 children and now 9 grandchildren. Happy New Year, everyone. My New Year wish for each and every one of you is filled with love, light, happiness, and spirituality. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away. We'll be right back. What if Jesus came back now and insisted that we listen to him? How would the world be different if Christians really followed the Gospels? For 2,000 years, we've been practicing a religion. Now it's finally time to get it right. Read Liberating Jesus, new from Roberta Grimes. Meet the Jesus you never knew. Roberta uses afterlife evidence and biblical analysis to prove that Jesus is exactly right. Learning the lessons that he came to teach is the reason we are born at all. Roberta says he has come back now to insist that we actually listen to him so we can begin to use his teachings to unite and transform the world. Liberating Jesus, wherever books are sold. Jesus has the answers, and it's not too late. Roberta blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie, natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
One Florida drug dealer made a serious mistake when he dared peddle his poisons on the schoolyard of Robert W. Morgan's preteen daughter. Morgan, a budding film director, tracked him to his hidden Everglades lair where his meth lab mysteriously blew sky high. When Morgan's demands to police to make grammar school playgrounds safer from drugs were ignored, he sought the counsel of CIA operative Frank Sturgis. Again, he was warned to give up what was becoming an obsession. Instead, Robert used his reputation as a filmmaker to infiltrate the mafia by stroking their egos and offering to make films for them offshore so they could import them as foreign product without paying taxes. When they agreed to build him a studio in Panama, Robert called the DEA and FBI and offered to work undercover. In time, their combined efforts revealed how the mob was secretly laundering billions of dollars through the Vatican Bank in Rome before returning to the States as foreign investments. Now read Morgan's story, Citizen Spy, Vatican Cover-Up, The Mob, Money Laundering, and Murder, available at Amazon.com, BN.com, and Borders.com. In his new book, Wandering About, author David Strumfeld talks about the universe, existence, civilization, and the nature of mankind. Wandering About is a comprehensive guide that discusses man's everlasting struggle to learn what his place in the universe is and what the true purpose of his existence is all about. By dealing with many forms of science and humanity, Wandering About also serves as an intellectual autobiography, an expedition through author David Strumfeld's mind and his life as a human being. Through the reader's views, readers will learn many relevant things such as the development of civilization through the ages, how science helped mankind to make many crucial discoveries about the universe, why people's curiosity and imagination never get satisfied, and much more. Wandering About promises to push the reader's reasons and thinking to the very edge. To order Wandering About by David Strumfeld, go to www.wanderingabout.net. That's www.wanderingabout.net.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
Welcome back, everyone. Linnea Starr is my special guest this hour. www.linneastar.com. As always, Linnea, really great talking to you. You're a busy lady these days, and can you tell us more of what we can expect in the year of 2016? Let me ask you this question. Donald Trump, where do you see him going?
Well, I'm going to say that all stars around him. He's an incredibly successful businessman. And I think he's free from any political lobbying. I think he's his own man.
Yep.
And I think people are going to be very surprised because I think he's going to be the leader of the pack.
You know, I love what you just said, because, you know, when you look at Donald Trump, he kind of seems to be a guy who calls it as he sees it without any hidden agenda. And he doesn't, like you said, you know, he's got his own money. He doesn't need anyone's money. And I think this says a lot for his credibility.
I also think that he will probably tone down a little bit of the rhetoric, but I think he means business. And I think the buck will stop with him, and he'll do what he needs to do to bring us where we need to go.
I agree with you, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens up here north of the 49th parallel when he does get in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The economy is looking pretty shabby these days, my dear friend. We've seen, close to financial collapse in China over the last 24 hours. The Chinese stock market went right down. They had to put on the circuit breakers to make sure that the economy didn't go past a point where there was no return. And, of course, whatever happens in China does have an effect in the rest of the world because of Walmart and the computer industries who depend on the Chinese workforce to supply with product. How do you see that resolving?
Well, I'm going to say that a lot of countries get a karmic repayment. When your country gives out and is charitable and is helpful, you usually have success. And when you don't, sometimes there's setbacks. So I'm going to say, I think... Oh.
No, go ahead, dear. I'm sorry.
It'll get better before it gets worse.
So what would you consider to be the key things to look forward to or to look out for in 2016?
New leadership after our presidential election in the United States. I think conclaves of spiritual and world leaders to deal with what's going on with ISIS. I think some medical advances are going to be the bionic eyes, working with people that have eye injuries or born with eye defects. I think they're going to be able to do more with that. I think that there's going to be diabetic news. I think they're going to do something with some kind of chip that gets into the pancreas and helps the pancreas to jumpstart again to produce insulin. Spinal cord injuries, I think they're going to come a long way with that, depending on the nature of the injury. I think there'll be more mobility for people. And I would like to mention Maddie McCann, the child that was kidnapped in Portugal.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
From England. I've always felt that they will have a resolution. I do feel they're going to find out exactly what happened. And I do hear this case being resolved. And I've always felt she would come home. Now, I hope that she comes home alive and well. Coming home means a lot of things. But I'm going to say that I think there is some good news around her because her family and the world never gave up on that.
And that's very important, not to give up, whether or not the case is ongoing or has been just put on hold. Never give up, because that thought, that feeling, that desire for a positive solution, I believe, can work miracles.
I think so, too.
Yeah. Linnea, besides looking into the future, what else can you help your people with who may want to contact you?
Well, I'm always able to bring someone back for them.
Bring someone back.
I get evidentiary from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I get evidentiary information I wouldn't know, names and dates. And when I give a prophecy and it does come true, then the person I've spoken to knows that it came from their loved one, watching over them with light and love from the other side.
Can you give us some examples of the work that you've done without breaking any of the confidentiality you have between yourself and your clients?
Sure. Recently I was at a home, and I brought the father back of a young woman, and I got his name, and he told me that the date that I was there was very significant, and he had died 25 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
The girl was 5. So she was, I think, very enlightened,
Mm-hmm.
and the man in spirit told me to mention a recent adoption. And I went into the details. I had told the woman she would have a baby girl given to her through adoption when she came home from the British Isles. Sure enough, she came home a year later after a vacation, and she adopted a little girl the week I was at this group. So I explained that to the young woman, and I gave the town where the woman lived in. And when the young girl said to me, "What's her name?" I gave it. That's her cousin, and it was her father's goddaughter.
Wow.
I wouldn't know that. Yeah. And we were in a place that was far away from the adoption. It was another part of the state. So the girl texted the new mother, and the mother texted back and said, Linnea predicted the whole thing. So I think this kid was really happy.
Where do you get this information
I
from?
was thrilled.
And how do you get it?
Well, I heard the man talking, and he was very, very connected to the young woman.
Mm-hmm.
He had been a guardian angel. She feels him around her. And I think he wanted to validate who he was. And when he gave me, the adoption thing, it turns out it's his goddaughter, and all these people were anonymous to me. I wouldn't know that. I hear the voice talking to me.
When you first started
It's called clairaudience.
when you started hearing these voices, did they alarm you? Were you afraid?
No, because the way my family handled it, they brought it down to my level. And what my grandmother told me was that I had a message to give the world. And, I am Christian. I follow Christ. And I realize not everybody believes in that. And that's okay. But the thing is, he promises you eternal life. And if I can sit in front of you and give you information I couldn't know or give you a prophecy, that's the soul returning to say, I live on forever.
Unbelievable. As someone who has the ability to communicate with the other side, how does it affect you as the person, Linnea Starr, when you're asked by a parent to communicate with a child that has passed on?
That has to be the most heart-wrenching, because that is not the natural order of things. And I often bring the child back, and I can get details about the child that only the parents would know. And what I try to tell them is that I'm using my faith to prove to them that their loved ones are still in existence, and you hold on to that hope. So faith and hope come through periodically to let you know that your child is not lost. The grave is the beginning of eternal life.
Does the child on the other side understand or comprehend where they are, what has happened, and how does the child who's passed handle the fact that they are no longer part of this realm, but they've moved on to another realm?
Well, I'm going to say that I think someone that young is immediately brought to glory,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll have angels around them, you'll have other family members around them. So I think it's a given that someone that little gets a lot of love and attention simply because of the age factor.
What is the hardest part?
And they seem to be content
No, go ahead.
to be able to come back and speak. They want to make that connection to the family.
So what is the hardest part about the work that you do for you as Linnea?
Thank you. The hardest part is to be in front of skeptics and to actually get information that's incredible,
Mm-hmm.
and the person still refuses to believe that it's real.
So
That's frustrating for anybody that does this.
So how do you deal with skepticism?
Well, I use humor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I will be very open that I know they don't believe me.
Right.
And you just work with the person and you hope that you gave them a little bit of comfort. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You know?
That is so true.
Sad.
Yes, it is. But why do you think there are so many people out there that are so skeptical that they're not willing to give people like yourself the benefit of the doubt of what you're saying is true and that you do have the ability?
I think it can be the pain of losing someone that they love,
Mm-hmm.
and they're upset and they're angry. And about a month ago, I was in a parking lot, and I went out to get in my car,
Mm-hmm.
and a gentleman walked up, and he said he liked my car. I have a Kia Soul. So he's getting one for his wife, and he said, aren't you Linnea? And I said, yeah, how do you know me? He said, I've seen your website, but I don't believe in anything. I said, why? He said, my son died 35 years ago. He was 4 years old, and we've decided there's nothing after this. So I kind of stood there, and I said, I want to tell you something. I said, it's Matthew telling me to tell you he lives on. And the guy grabbed me. That was his son's name. And he burst into tears.
Wow.
He said, you couldn't know that. I said, but Matthew knows it. And I said, funny thing, you liked my Kia Soul, and your son Matthew's soul made an appearance for you. And the guy was stunned. He was stunned. His daughter just emailed me. She said, you changed my father.
Wow.
And that's what I want to do. Right? That's all I want to do.
Do those on the other side know that one day they're going to be coming back when it comes to reincarnation, or is reincarnation really not what it's made out to be?
I do believe in reincarnation.
Okay.
And I think there are some documented cases that prove it. But I think you have to want to come back. And I think the people that miss you have to invite you back. There are cases where children have returned again to the same family. And there were documentations of information the kid couldn't know. And Hindu and Buddhists believe in reincarnation. So I think it can happen.
Have you seen examples, or have you worked on examples where you have found that the problem that appears to be at the forefront of the situation is actually because the person has brought luggage back from another life?
That's a common theme. In fact, certain medical conditions, certain fears have happened to the person before they were in this lifetime. And they bring that baggage with them. And usually past life regression will help them through it.
So looking ahead into the future that we all have, we're here for a good time. We're not here for a long time. How can we best prepare for our eventual parting from this dimension and going to the next level?
I would think that we would want peace within ourselves. Mm-hmm. I think we have to forgive. I think we have to let go. I think we have to be thankful for the blessings we have. And I think we have to keep our house in order. Financial, wills, bequests, things like that. Because no one ever knows when their time will be. And you need to kind of write down what your wishes are, so your loved ones can appropriately finish whatever your business is. And you can be happy with that on the other side.
Can anyone communicate with the other side, or does it take a special born trait? For example, like the gift that you've been born with.
I think the more open you are, the more availability will happen. Mm-hmm. And they'll readily communicate with you. They'll send you signs. They'll come in dreams. They'll do things to catch your eye. And those things are called apports, when they send you something from the other side. Mm-hmm. Especially with animals or birds. If you see a cardinal constantly, that's a spiritual connection. If you happen to see butterflies consistently, that's another sign. That's an American Indian belief. And you can ask them to come to you in dreams, and they will.
Now, there's so much controversy about the interpretation of dreams. How would you suggest one interpret their dreams? Do we interpret the symbols, or do we interpret the dream itself?
I think you need to write it down. Mm-hmm. And there are some books out there, and you can go online. They'll do dream interpretation. But you should keep a dream log. And as you each dream, by the end of a few weeks, there should be a consistent message from your loved one on the other side. And you can ask them, what are they trying to tell you? And as they explain it, you write it down. And then I think you have a deeper understanding psychologically of what they're trying to tell you.
Fascinating. Linnea, as always, whenever you're with us, time goes by so fast. What is your final thought and your final message for the members of the X Zone Nation tonight?
I would hope that they would be open to the other realm on the other side. I would hope that they would be teaching their children to have some kind of foundation and to focus on what is bright and beautiful. Count your blessings and try to at least give a little back to have a karmic experience. When we give unconditionally, we get back unconditionally.
Linnea, again, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to the next time you join us back here in the X Zone. But until then, friend, I wish you and yours nothing but the very best for the year 2016. And thank you for the great work you do and for being a guest on tonight's show.
Thank you.
X Zone Nation, my friend and guest this hour, the one and only Linnea Starr, www.linneastarr.com. That's www.linneastarr.com. Now, I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And you can listen to the X Zone 724-365 at www.xzoneradiotv.com. My name is Rob McConnell, And this is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And once again, if you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. I'll be back on the other side as we continue live and around the world from our broadcast center right here in the middle of Canada, in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away, X Zone Nation. I'll be right back.